Okay, we always like to bring interesting guests on the show, and tonight is another example of that. So we welcome James Tyson to the show. James, welcome.
Hi, how are you? Hello, happy to be here.
All right, happy to have you. So James, talk about. I'm always interested how people get into comedy. What was their emphasis? What was their motivation? So, asking you, when did you get that itch to be a stand-up comic?
My dad didn't love me enough. Is probably the biggest first reason. And then I started as an actor when I was like 5, and I went to NYU for theater. And when I got out of school, I wanted to produce my own work, find a way to get out there, and I was pretty convinced that I was hilarious. So I started doing stand-up in 2009, and it just kind of went from there. But I've only been back doing it again for like 4 months. It's very, like doing it sober, as I mentioned earlier, it's very new for me. And a lot of that is just a deep anger that I wanted to speak into a microphone.
And talk about the type of places that you've been performing at, and what are you most comfortable? What's the most comfortable venue that you like performing at?
It depends. I don't know, most comfortable, because I perform for a variety of audiences, like straight, gay. I mean, it's a mix. There's different material that you can do for different audiences, for sure. So I don't know about most comfortable. Generally in life, I feel most comfortable around queer people. So, I mean, nothing against heterosexuals, but that's where I feel most physically comfortable.
Okay, so we would love to have you perform when we host Long Island Pride this year, and we've had the honor of hosting the music the last 2 years in a row, and we'd love to have you perform at Pride in June. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I would have no fear of a hate crime at any point during that gig, so I support that.
All right, excellent. And you mentioned before that you're HIV positive, and talk about how that has made a difference in your life.
You really pull the rug out from under my set when you tell them that I'm HIV positive. What was the question? I'm sorry.
What's it been like dealing with that, and how's it affected your life?
I mean, I do talk about it in my act. Quite frankly, as long as a person in this modern age has access to healthcare, resources, and education, I think people don't realize that the science caught up and that it doesn't develop into AIDS. It doesn't really affect my life because I am the privilege of having access to healthcare, resources, and education. So it's 1 pill a day. I don't have physical. I don't think about it outside of how people react to it when they find out, mostly.
And you mentioned before you're 4 months sober, and I think that's a great accomplishment. I'm sure that people have been affected with demons. So the fact that you've been clean for 4 months, I'm sure you feel better physically, emotionally. Talk about how that's affected your life.
Well, I haven't had alcohol in like 6 months, 16 months. Yeah, I mean, it's all. I was a problem drinker, so just losing weight immediately was really nice, and then the general lack of internal conflict around my own behavior and waking up in the morning without a hangover, it's all kind of for the best. It really was. I found out in 2016 in September about the HIV, and then the election was in November, and so it was just a rough couple months, and I got sober maybe 4 months after that.
Okay, cool. So you have any gigs coming up or things that we'd like to promote on the show? Some big events that you're going to be working at?
Yeah, I have a show at West Side Comedy Club on December 10th that's hosted by Drew Lausch, who's a wonderful queer comic in New York. I'm always plugging that Instagram. It's James Tyson, Tison. Follow if you're not totally offended by anything that I've said so far. And those are the biggest things that I have coming up. I just had a short film premiere at Austin Film Festival called Paranormal Relativity, But that can't be found on the internet yet, but I'm excited about that having occurred.
Well, I just want to let you know something you might not be aware of, an event that Rocco and I have attended for several years. Here in Long Beach in the summer, we have the Long Beach International Film Festival, and they feature a lot of short films, so maybe next year we can put you in touch with the people and they could feature your film at the next Long Beach International Film Festival.
I'd love a gig, so yeah, yep, sounds good.
All right. So, James, we enjoyed talking to you, and we're looking forward to hearing you do your shtick tonight. James Tyson, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a nice round of applause for our stand-up comic. He is James Tyson.
Hi, hello. Hi, how are you? I'm James Tyson. You just found out so much about me that I did not mean for him to tell you, but now I'm going to act like he did not tell you. Do we have any heterosexual men in the audience? They're all raising their hands. Great, good. I'm so happy. You guys must be so exhausted, right? With the state of things. Do you have any idea what's going on in society at this point for you guys? So tiring. I feel bad for you. I just don't know who decided that for straight men, like the demands of masculinity, right? Who decided that in order to be masculine, you gotta swallow every vowel, you know? Just send it straight on down. The camera, you can laugh, sweetie, I promise. I would prefer if you didn't do this silent laugh, it's killing me. You know? You just gotta get those emotions down there, because, you know, keep it here, and you and Papa, you're in good terms. Dad will look you in the eyes, but the second a single human emotion goes into your nasal cavity, suddenly Thanksgiving is so much more tense. Grandma won't even talk to me. That's not my experience. It's just a lot of people. No, I mean, straight people. I don't mean to alienate the straight men. That's not my intent at all. Earlier, I was discussing with some of the straight men in this room my resentment for your people, and you were asking me why. I can't. You all seem great. You all seem like one of the good ones. But I can't always trust that your people will provide a safe and comfortable environment for my people. Right? If I have one note, it's that. Maybe bring it up at the next meeting that you all have with each other. But like, so I'm a waiter, and if I have a bunch of like Gramercy finance bros, right, at a table, and I think like a single limp wrist is gonna, like, their brains are gonna explode. I gotta take this and change, right? I gotta do a lot of code switching to make sure that the straight men feel comfortable and I don't get it. So it's a lot like, hi, how are you today? Welcome to Upland. Is this your first time here? Oh, tremendous, wonderful gentlemen. So happy to have you. Cool. Rad. We do have a fish special today. It's a pan-seared fluke, breaded with almonds, panko breadcrumbs, hazelnut. Truly, this chef, just such a genius. Really, he knows what he's doing. What are we drinking? Iced tea? Oh, Arnold Palmer. All right, I see you, Bob. Right, that's exhausting. I feel gross. Like, that doesn't make me feel good. That's a lot of emotional labor. And if I have like a bunch of like, you know, intelligent young women enjoying a brunch, oh my God, the freedom I feel. I get to, hi ladies, how are you? Is this your first time at Upland? Oh my God, we're so happy you're here. Honestly, like, truly, it's just magical. It's all happening. Okay, so we do have a fish special today. It is breaded. I know, it's stupid. I'm so sorry. But who's getting their drink on? What are we having? Mimosa? Bellini? What? Yes! I see you, Brenda. You know, that just feels better for me on my soul. He mentioned earlier, so it's no surprise to you that I'm HIV positive. I couldn't quite take the pulse of everyone's reactions when I said that you all seem, you never know, in 2018 even, I don't know. On the one hand, you guys might be totally up to date with the science, you know that it's not a death sentence. On the other hand, you might be stuck in 1985. And any one of you could be freaking out right now and thinking, like, you haven't heard a single word I've said since he said HIV. And you're just like, what? No, what? That's not, that's, you guys, HIV, that's not funny. He's got, like, there's 2 bathrooms here. He's got the lipstick on, so I don't even know which bathroom he uses. Like, he's touching the mic. Like, am I about to get HIV from this, like, fucking gay guy, you know? You know? And I'm sorry, but yeah, probably. You know? Chances are good you all already got it. I'm so sorry, you know? I hope you like the Rent soundtrack and being told how brave you are, because that's your lives now. No, like I said in the interview, it's completely manageable. Science did catch up. When I found out 2 years ago, I started taking 1 pill a day. Within a month, I was undetectable. It will never turn into AIDS, you know? I will never look like Tom Hanks at the end of Philadelphia. That's not, or Mary Louise Parker at the end of Boys on the Side. Which, if you're not laughing at, that's your fault. You need to see Boys on the Side. That's not that joke's fault that you haven't seen Boys on the Side. I don't know what you're doing with your life. When people get judgmental, I don't know, there's nothing I can really do about that. I will say the version of judgment that I struggle with in my truth is when heterosexuals with children decide that they would like to get judgmental about my HIV. Here's why, hear me out. Over 50% of children in this country are unplanned, which means that heterosexuals are having these kids in the exact same way that I got HIV. And I'm not saying, like, I'm not defending my actions, I'm just saying my HIV is a lot less annoying and a lot less of a social strain than children. And especially since the biggest accusation against gays is that their lives are just so driven by sex. Their whole lifestyle is determined by sex. I'm sorry, kids are a big determination of your fucking lifestyle. I don't know if I can swear on this. I'm sure you can bleep it out later.
Don't worry about it.
I'm just saying the HIV is less annoying than your kids. I've never been at a restaurant and had my HIV ruin the brunch of the table next to me.
No.
It's never happened. I've never been in an elevator and had to turn to a full-grown adult and say, I'm so sorry. My HIV pressed all the buttons. It's going through a phase. It doesn't happen. And the last thing I'll close on, which I did not start with because I was afraid it would kill the room. I respect what you're saying, Howie, about honoring George Bush's death and so forth. I will say that I personally am as sad about it as he was about the deaths of the 100,000 gay men who died of AIDS under his presidency. Thank you for your time.
James Tyson, very, very entertaining. Great job.